Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about sweeteners because we all know sugar is not good. That's why we rather eat sweeteners. I have 15 different kind of sweeteners I want to talk about today. From monk fruit, stevia, honey, maple syrup, all of them. But before I start, I want to talk about sugar. Why do we actually love sugar so much? Because here's the thing. Back in the day, our ancestors, they obviously just figured out what is good for them by their taste. If it's sweet, sour, or bitter. If it's bitter, it most likely meant it is poisonous. If it's sour, most likely it wasn't ripe yet. And if it's sweet, first of all, it was super delicious. And secondly, it gave them a energy boost. That's exactly what it still does today. Because if we eat sugar, I'm sure you know this feeling. When you eat sugar or eat something sweet, you're like, oh my god, it's so good. Our brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is our happy hormone, and then you all of a sudden, and that's what happens when you eat sugar, and that's why it is so hard for us to not eat sugar. And also, sugar is literally in everything. Everything you buy, there's sugar. We have like 65 different kind of terms for sugar. So if you have ingredients and it doesn't say sugar, I'm sure it's in there. It just has a different kind of term. You just don't know. It is crazy. And with sugar, it's the same thing. We release dopamine, so we're all happy after. It's the same for a drug addict. It's the same thing. Sugar and drugs, you could literally just like some cocaine. It's the same thing, as sad as it is. We have 3 different kinds of sugars. They are also called simple carbohydrates. We start with glucose. Glucose will get metabolized in our body very, very fast. The faster it gets metabolized, the higher will our blood sugar level spike. That's why you have to be careful. So the higher the glycemic index, glucose has a very high glycemic index, 100, the faster we metabolize it and the faster it will hit our blood sugar level. The lower the glycemic index, the lower we metabolize it and the less impact it has on our blood sugar level. Second is fructose, also called fruit sugar. Glycemic index is very, very low. That's why it will not have a huge impact on our blood sugar level. But it has to get metabolized by our liver. What can cause weight gain? So too much fructose is also not good. The last one, third one, is sucrose. Sucrose is the normal sugar we know, the normal table sugar we know. And it's 50-50, 50% glucose and 50% fructose. The daily recommendation for our sugar intake is usually for women 25 grams and for men 37.5, I guess. But what we do, we eat up to 90 grams of sugar. Why? Because it's hidden in everything. We don't even know how much sugar we actually eat because it's in everything. And if you eat too much sugar on a daily basis, it can cause obesity, heart disease, any type of cancer, and type 2 diabetes. So it's super, super bad. That's why, obviously, we have a lot of sweeteners and we think sweeteners are much, much better. But here's the thing. I talk about 15 different kind of sweeteners from worse to not as bad. So stay tuned. First one, high fructose corn syrup. It's obviously made from corn, but mostly corn which is genetically modified. If you don't know what genetically modified means, watch another video. It is called Organic versus Not Organic Foods. There I talk about genetically modified and explain it in detail. High fructose corn syrup is similar to table sugar. It's not good at all. And also it can cause obesity and cancer. Second, brown rice sugar. Brown rice sugar is made from the starch of brown rice. But it has a very high glycemic index. As you know now, the higher the glycemic index, the faster our body metabolizes it and the faster our blood sugar level rises up. That's why you have to be careful with it. 3, agave nectar, I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know what I mean. If you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check my subtitles. Everything is written down. It is made from a plant, so we think it is very nutritious. Unfortunately, it's not because of how it gets processed. Everything gets killed, though there's nothing in there. But it is mainly made from fructose, so it doesn't have any impact or very low impact on our blood sugar level. That's why the glycemic index is also very low. But it's 1.5 times sweeter than normal sugar. Number 4, no calorie or artificial sweeteners. You usually know them in restaurants when they have these little like pink or blue bags. That's the stuff. It is 100 to 1000 times sweeter than sugar, which is crazy. And usually you see it in the ingredients list. There are different kind of words for it. I don't remember them, I have to read them now. So they're usually called saccharin, aspartame, you've heard about that one for sure, neotame, and sucralose. And this, because it's so artificial, it can cause cardiovascular diseases, so rather don't touch it. Number 5, brown sugar. Brown sugar is literally just white sugar with some molasses. So what it actually does with white sugar, we just get rid of all the molasses, all this good stuff, and that's why it's white. With brown sugar, there's at least some nutrients in there because of molasses, what is still in there, and that's why the brown sugar is still kind of moist. But we think, okay, that's kind of good. Well, the thing is, it is per ounce is 0.2 milligram iron in there, 0.2. But our daily intake of iron should be 8 grams. So you can remember or can do the math how much sugar you should have to eat to match these 8 grams of iron. So there's almost nothing in there, but it's still better than the rest. Number 6, barley malt, I don't know. Barley and then M-A-L-T. Sometimes I don't know how to pronounce it. This is not as bad. I mean, it's not good as I said beforehand, but it is made of sprouted barley. So it is 65% maltose, it's similar to glucose, then 30% carbohydrates, and at least 5% protein. So it's not as bad, at least some nutrients in there. But it can spike up our blood sugar level very fast because the glycemic index is very, very high. And on top of that, it contains gluten because of barley. So if you're gluten intolerant or sensitive, don't have it. Number 7, maple syrup. Maple syrup is made from boiling down maple tree sap, which is not bad because there are 20 antioxidants in it. So it contains 20 different kind of antioxidants and also some vitamins and minerals. Here's the thing, it is super sweet. That's the only downside because a fourth of a cup contains 50 grams of sugar. You know, you're only allowed to eat 25 grams per day, or as a woman, or 37 grams as a man. A quarter of a cup, what you usually pour on your pancakes, already contains 50 grams of sugar. I'm not talking about Auntie Jemima, whatever, corn syrup shit, because this is literally like glue. If you've seen it, this is not the stuff I'm talking about. I talk about the organic, real stuff, okay? A very good thing, maple syrup is very sustainable because these trees can give sap up to 100 years or something. So this is really, really good. Number 8, coconut sugar. Coconut sugar, also called palm sugar, which is not as bad. It has a lot of nutrients because it's obviously from a tree. And it has a stuff which is called inulin, which can stabilize our blood sugar level. It is also very sustainable because these trees don't have to cut down to produce coconut sugar. They can last up to 20 years, which is good. But it is very high in sugar, 70 or 80% of sucrose. Number 9, honey. Honey is really good. It has a lot of flavonoids, a lot of vitamins, minerals, also antibacterial, which is really good. On the downside, it is high in sugar, and also you have to be careful where you buy it. If you buy it from a local farmer, this is fine because he's obviously treats the bees very well, and they also take part in pollination and all this stuff, because without bees, all plants, all nature will not flourish. There are no trees, no flowers, no veggies, no fruits without bees. And if you buy it from a farmer, sometimes this cheap as honey, sometimes you see they add some sugar. So buy organic, because non-organic, we spray everything with pesticides, and these bees go obviously to those kind of flowers and want to pollinate those kind of things as well, but they will die after because they can't withstand those pesticides and they will die. So you have to be very careful. We don't think about those kind of things, but that's why bees are so important. So be careful and pay attention. Number 10, stevia. Stevia is made from a bush called Stevia rebaudiana. It has 0 calories. And also it is 200 times sweeter than normal sugar, so it means you don't need as much, which is good. If you have high blood pressure, perfect, because it can lower your blood pressure. But if you have low blood pressure already, it can go even lower, so you have to be very careful. And also it can interact with your medication. If you take any medication, be careful with eating or consuming stevia. Number 11. Sugar alcohols, usually found in mushrooms or in fermented foods. It has 0 calories and it is not that sweet. But here's the thing, because it's not that sweet, sometimes they add some sugar to make it sweeter. So you have to be a bit careful, but usually it is very good for people with diabetes. On top of that, with these sugar alcohols, you have to be careful because sometimes they are made from corn and corn is genetically modified. So make sure it's always organic. Number 12, monk fruit. Monk fruit is obviously made from a fruit, which is really good because it's a lot of nutrients. So it's anti-inflammatory, it has a lot of antioxidants, and it's really, really yummy. Well, it's not as sweet. That's depends on if you like it sweet or not. I would say it's good, it's not as sweet. But what they sometimes do, they add some added sugar to make it even sweeter. Because it has 0 calories, I know, 0 calories, what happens sometimes, you might be even more hungry after you've eaten something with monk fruit because of 0 calories. The downside is, it is not very economically friendly because we don't produce this here in the US. It needs to get shipped here to the US, and then the cost of travel is very expensive, and that's why monk fruit is also very expensive. 13, molasses. Molasses is obviously boiling down cane sugar. Everyone knows it. It is very nutritious, has a lot of nutrients and vitamins and whatever. The only downside is it is high in sugar, and because of the weird taste, sometimes you can't, usually in bakes or something, you can like throw it in your coffee. This might be kind of gross. But molasses is definitely an option. Number 14, yacon syrup. I don't know pronounce correctly. It's Y-A-C-O-N. Yacon, I think that sounds good. It's similar process than maple syrup, similar production, but it can lower your blood sugar level, which is really good, but it functions as a laxative. So if you have kind of problems to go to the toilet, definitely the way to go. But if you eat too much, you might get the shits. So be careful. Number 15, date sugar. So you can either eat whole dates or use whole dates, or what they also do, they granulated just the date and you get date sugar. The date paste is better than date sugar because date sugar is more processed. Date sugar is really good because it's very nutritious, a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrients because you eat the whole fruit in this one. But the thing is here, it has a very high glycemic index, so your blood sugar level will spike. So be careful. Okay, let's cut it short. I started obviously with the worst sugar additives. I don't want to repeat everything. And I stopped or finished with the best versions of sugar substitutes, which were sugar alcohols, monk fruit, molasses, yacon syrup, yacon, whatever, you know, Y-A-C-O-N, and date sugar. These are all good versions. So for your coffee or something, you can obviously use like monk fruit or stevia. Maybe not molasses because that's kind of disgusting, or like you can also just throw in a date. But the best version of making anything sweet, always use real fruits. For smoothies, just use fruits. A very ripe banana always works. For any cakes, maybe banana cake or something, just throw in a banana or some dates. Try to avoid all processed sugar, whatever you can throw in there, because it's in a lot of stuff already. So try to avoid it. Try to keep your sugar intake very, very low, because as I told you in the beginning, it is not good for our body because it can cause a lot of harm. I hope this video was helpful. Please give me a thumbs up if it was. Please comment below if you have any more questions. I'm more than happy to answer all your questions. Don't forget to subscribe. There's a button below, just subscribe so you can see all the following videos released daily. Don't forget. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.